First of all, there is a concrete risk of job polarization. So we mean that we might have some jobs that will be more required, that will be probably paid also more, especially in the information and technology sector, or works which require actually human contact, human relationship, like in service and in care activities. For what concerns the traditional fields, we have new also, and actually also platform companies, we have new problems arising from digitalization, which have to do especially with the new possibility to monitor employees, even via wearable devices. We think about wearable wristbands or exoskeletons, or via GPS technologies. Among opportunities, for sure, there is the opportunity of remote working, telework. We see that there are some companies which are at the edge of innovation, but at the same time, there are problems with workers which are lacking basic digital literacy, or even small enterprises, small entrepreneurs which are missing these competencies. And there are problems in some countries which are anyway being solved about the availability of broadband, so which is leaving actually some geographical areas, rural areas behind. Finally, it's interesting to see that there were physical events used to trigger some cooperative behavior between platform workers. For instance, some festivals, some happenings, some assembly, where workers could discuss together, came up with some joint proposal, share their knowledge, and so forth. One of the strategies is to use efficiency or quality gains from the onset to ensure the innovation is then expanding also the market and sales, and this way is not damaging employment. The software is used also to better coordinate, to better organize the shift of workers, for instance, where to control the shifts, to organize the shift, but also to control them, to make sure the workers, in this case we are talking about healthcare workers, are present, for instance, at the home of the patients, can generate also some stress.
Actually, we have only 8,000 cooperatives in Germany, but with 20 million members, which also raised in the recent 10 years, also with remarkable numbers. I think it's around 900 cooperatives for renewable energies. Also cooperatives working in the IT sector, digitalization, creative industries. In Germany, we have a lot of technology advice centers which give employee-related advices, also concerning digitalization and other technology evolvements. And work councils have the right to get advice by these technology advice centers to have and assist them if they want to discuss with the owner of the company about digitalization. There is also collective bargaining agreements about digitalization. In the cooperative and Sozialwirtschaft, it is so that a collective bargaining agreement concerning digitalization only exists in the banking sector.
We are, as a farmers cooperative, a very high performance company. So we are managing on more than or nearly 4,000 hectares of agricultural land. So we are a large agricultural company. We're doing this with 135 employees. So we are distributing and rental machinery. We have a paint shop, sandblasting, a gas station, a hotel, a catering. We are not started with the process of digitalization because of our employees, but rather to cope with the problems that are occurring from livestock keeping and from plant production. We tested a lot of things, and in the end we decided for one, and this is the principle. The tractor is scanning on the one possibility is that is scanning prior to whatever we want to do, and then we are inside the office, we are calculating spraying cards or spreading cards and so on.
I suppose one of the things which has caused a lot of concern across Europe has been the status of platform workers across Europe, and in terms of their status as employees or lack thereof, and the implications of that as being a kind of an issue. Industrial relations system is described as voluntarist. There's no statutory union recognition at workplace level. And in fact, the only legislation really about worker participation is legislation which requires state boards to have worker representation on the state board. Other than that, it's pretty much a kind of a voluntary arrangement. Collective bargaining between employers and trade unions takes place at local workplace level because trade union density has been in decline since the 1990s. And it's estimated most recently that about 25% of workers are part of a recognised trade union. And that's mainly in the private sector. As opposed to the public sector. Public sector union density is about 66%. The social economy enterprise context in that is multifaceted, I guess. Number one, I suppose, in terms of enabling access to the labour market and providing opportunities for those at risk of marginalisation. Opportunities for social enterprises in their own activities and their own enterprise work, as well as facilitating those to avail of the opportunities.
A fairly young social enterprise, and we were set up to make remote work accessible and visible to everybody. We have that remote work ready training deeply embedded into the remote work ecosystem. So the employers are part of designing the course. So the people who get that course have the skills that the employers need. But one piece of research we found in a large Irish company when all the staff were surveyed was that between 80 and 90% of the staff wanted to keep working remotely, but between 80 and 90% of the people managers wanted everybody to return to the office. We've had like over 100 years to perfect how offices work, and we still haven't got it perfect. And we've only have a couple of years working on remote working. The transition to remote kind of for us comes under three main headings: the policy, their technology, and their culture. We feel that it'll be even better for companies than before for a number of reasons. There's a really clear business case, for example, in terms of they don't need to spend as much money on their premises. It's really good for the environment, as I mentioned earlier. But most of all, it's really good because it hugely broadens their access to talent. Working from home in a pandemic is not the same as remote working done well in the future when we've got our potential to travel and all those things back on the table.
So how digitalization impact our activities? We have now a lot of new services that are able to be given to the workers, for example, and then they can use these all other services like digitalization. But if you use a mobile, then you know where you can use it in a restaurant. You can pay it for delivery, for example. And so the work at home has made huge challenges for us to improve our services for our users. So not only for our clients, but for our users, who are mainly the workers. What is important for us today is to be able to follow the use of new technologies in the field of the workplace.
At the beginning, it was just a Facebook group, okay? A Facebook group of people working on collaborative economy in the beginning of the 2010s years, thinking about the impact of digital and mainly collaborative economy. It was the beginning of platforms. So what is the impact of platforms? We had this global community. In the beginning, it was in France, and then in Spain, in Germany, and in Canada. This community and companies that want to make consulting with them is an association. The association owns the brand. The brand we share is owned by an association. And then there is also a foundation. And there is also a company for consulting, a company which is owned at 100% by the association. Within the community, people create small groups for every missions in the community. So every time someone wants to make consulting with WeShare, or every time that WeShare is organizing a big event that will provide income from people, a new team is gathered around the project.